What are the key age milestones when planning for retirement? Hey folks, welcome back to Retirement Roadmap with Master Plan Retirement Consultants. My name is Evan. With me as always, retirement planner Mark Fricks. Mark, there are seven, if not more, depending on who you are, but there are 7 key milestones in ages as you prepare and enter into retirement. We'll talk about those today and how we can not only make sure we might make the right decisions in light of our own individual situation, but make our retirement more efficient, increase savings.
And it's so crazy because, folks come to us. I had a meeting yesterday with a client, and they were like, isn't 59 and a half when I can turn on Social Security?
Oh, wow.
There's so many different ages floating out there,
Yeah.
and you just, it gets confusing, and then they change them, right? Just when you think you've got it figured out, they change. We got 2 changes for this year that we're going to bring up as well. If you're driving, you might want to pull over to take notes because we'll be throwing a lot of ages out here. Or make sure you go back and listen to a podcast or YouTube, our YouTube channel, one of the 2. But really important dates, really important ages to keep up with. And again, make sure you're efficient, because just because something says you can do something at a certain age may not mean you want to do it at that age, right? So we're going to talk about that as well today.
Number 1, first age in retirement planning as far as milestones are considered is age 50. And why is that? It's because you can make catch-up contributions to your retirement accounts.
Right. IRAs, or Roths, 401ks typically have a catch-up provision. The thrift savings plan with the government. So all of those have a catch-up provision. And I believe this year it's $7,500 for all of those, except the thrift savings plan. Now, don't confuse 50 with the thrift savings plan. Yes, you could do a catch-up contribution with all of those accounts at age 50 up to $7,500 for the year out of your pay. But then the thrift savings plan has added another age. So if you work for the federal government and you're 60, 61, 62, or 63, you can do up to $11,250 catch-up. Now, I don't know where that number came from. I mean, why not make it 11,000 or 10,000 or 12,000 or whatever?
We're thankful for the extra, but
It's $3,750 more. Not everybody can afford to put that much more away, but at that age, you're getting close to retirement. If you've got kids, they're probably close to gone or gone, so you got a little bit extra money there. A lot of the college costs might be gone, so it is a great idea to try to catch up and get some of that money put away. I do recommend putting more of it into the Roth part of your retirement accounts as opposed to the traditional. Another topic for another day, but certainly we would be glad to chat with you to kind of give you some guidance on that.
really thankful for the government allowing us to put more away at some of these key points. And again, a lot of folks, these are their highest earning years, so they hopefully are able to put more away if possible. What do you think spurred some of these changes?
I think the government is just seeing that there's a retirement crisis in this country.
Yeah.
People are not saving, they're not putting away what they need to, and they're just like, let's give them another chance. And I mean, I remember when, my kids were young, and Evan included, we were doing everything we could to make ends meet. Yeah. So we would put away what we could, but whether it was, school activities and expenses, clothes every year. I mean, I don't have to go through all that with everybody, but and you're not making as much money at that point too. So having that catch up later on is a great idea. And again, I think the government's doing it because they do see the statistics of how many people have not saved or how little they've saved over the years. So giving them that last hurrah, so to speak, to keep them from working to their 80 or whatever it may be, or being solely reliant on Social Security and things of that nature.
This is also a great time, age 50, to start considering whether you want or are ready to work with a retirement planning professional.
Right.
Some might think this is a little bit early. You hear people say 5 years out, 10 years out, whatever. But this is great because you start to have these opportunities to put away more. You can work with a financial professional who can show you the best ways to maximize that, even help your budgeting so you can put away. And even, let's say you are so blessed that you can maximize your contributions and catch up contributions. You're like, well, I still want to do more. Find a professional who can not only show you the best places to save and maximize that growth for your future planning needs, but you can go ahead and start planning for accounts that you will need in retirement. What are the goals you need to set for yourself in order to set yourself up for a successful retirement? Great age to start seeking a professional. The second age we're going to bring up is age 59 and a half. Now, at this point, you definitely need a retirement planner if you don't have one already. This is a wonderful age because there's no more early withdrawal penalty for retirement account distributions.
It's also a time when folks that are still working typically have the opportunity to go ahead and get that 401k rolled over to personal IRAs. And somebody might say, well, why would I want to do that? Well, first of all, it's a tax-free rollover, whether it's Roth or traditional. But secondly, it gives you the world as your oyster, so to speak. Right now, if you're in a 401k or the thrift savings plan with the government, you have limited areas you can invest in. So at 59.5 is kind of a freedom day of being able to roll that over into multiple IRAs, kind of how you kind of alluded to that now. Just now when you said, hey, getting them set up for retirement. So maybe we don't want all of our money in these 6 mutual funds. Maybe we need some in precious metals and some in some actively managed accounts to squeeze more return out of that money. Having somebody else watching over it for you, 5 days a week, things of that nature. But really, most importantly, getting lined up for that retirement and kind of seeing, where does your money need to go, not only from a standpoint of what kind of management, what kind of accounts, maybe some protected principal accounts, because if you're 5 years away from retirement, you don't need a 30 or 40% drop. So getting that lined up, beginning maybe some Roth conversions, get those going, because once it comes out of that 401k or a thrift savings plan, now you can start doing conversions into Roth. So money that, because you didn't know better or whatever, went into the traditional, let's get it tax-free as well. So lots of freedom at this point. Definitely need to be working with somebody that worked with retirement folks at this point, because if you're just working with someone that maybe your granddaddy worked with and your daddy worked with, or somebody turned you on at work that does investing, this is way beyond that.
I love the conversion conversation, because most people think, okay, 59.5, we can make tax-free rollovers, set up our accounts for retirements, but take it a step further and start developing your tax strategy, especially before you turn on Social Security. Let's say you're even just waiting to your full retirement age, or Medicare especially. That's great. Yeah. If you can convert before then, that will affect the taxation of your Social Security. Any IRA withdrawal you make will affect the taxation of your Social Security. So that's an excellent time to start tax strategies as well. And Mark also alluded to some protected growth accounts as well. Certain income accounts, especially annuities, if you need to use something like an annuity to create income in retirement, those really, really benefit from some years to season, to grow, especially if they have an income rider or something else like that. The more time you can wait and let that account grow, the more income it will produce when you're ready to turn on that income rider. So it is, we've worked with people who have said, hey, I retired last week, help me. I'm retiring in 2 weeks, help me.
And we can.
And we can. And we've helped with people who've been years in retirement and help them make more efficient. But I'm telling you, the earlier you can start, the more opportunity you have to make a tighter, more efficient plan. So I just insist, if you are interested or have any sort of just questions about your own retirement, please contact us. You can go to our website, masterplanretire.com. Schedule your complimentary consultation. That's an opportunity to just talk about your hopes, dreams, fears, your goals in retirement. We'll run a series of reports, 10,000-foot view of your own retirement. Okay, what if we just put the key in the ignition, turn on your retirement, and let it run without any planning? What does it look like? Where are our strengths, our weaknesses, opportunities for improvement? And that is all completely complimentary. Again, that's masterplanretire.com, or call us at the office, 770-980-9262.
One other quick point about Roth conversions. This is not a Roth conversion episode, of course, but the key times really are from 59.5 to age 65, because again, if you do a large conversion at 65 or later and you're on Medicare Part B, it can double, triple, and quadruple the amount of your Medicare Part B premium. And that will continue for 2 years after you've done that. But also, we're in a season, as we've talked about before, of low taxes. And the 2017 tax cuts look like they're going to be extended with the new administration. So we have 4 to 5 more years of lower taxes. After that, all bets are off, with all the problems we have with our deficit. Yeah. And so again, there's a window there. One of the major things we do is tax planning. So make sure and that's one of the reports we'll run for you. Yeah. So take advantage of that for sure.
And if you are 65 or older, that also doesn't mean that you have just missed the boat on Roth conversions. It's still extremely powerful. It might be worth taking a hit a couple of years. just to get some of that tax-free money in order to cover you for the next 20 plus years.
Yeah, imagine never paying tax on that money ever again. And when your kids inherit or whoever inherits, never paying tax on that money. That's just powerful.
Yeah, I just want to keep talking about tax planning now, but we'll move on.
Let's move on.
All right,
We have some more ages to go.
That's right. Age number 3, age 62. This is when you are eligible to start collecting your Social Security. Should you?
My favorite answer, it depends. All right. And so that's one of the reports we run as well, along with our experience in working with people. There are so many answers. I can, if I did the math, it's probably over 10,000 different ways to take Social Security, especially if you're have a spouse, because one can turn on earlier, one can do it later. You can turn it on any month and get a slight increase. You don't have to wait till 67. If you turn it on at 66 and a half, you're getting more than you would have gotten at 66. So you have about 93 different times you can turn it on. Your spouse has that many times. And then again, it's just a matter of income needs. But also, do we want to maximize that amount of money that will be maximized the rest of our life? And you'll get about a 70% increase if you wait from age 62 to 70. Again, that's not always the best thing for everybody. That's why, again, we have a whole meeting or two about Social Security and maximization, and we never lock it in. I mean, these discussions, I'm working with a client this week that they're 7 years away from being eligible from Social Security. We still talk about it, but we understand we don't have to make that decision yet. What if the laws change? What if Social Security changes? So it's not a locked-in decision. It's a kind of a free-flowing income plan that allows us to make adjustments as needed. So
there's a lot of elements to consider, especially at pulling it in at 6. If you're turning on your Social Security, at age 62, will reduce your benefits from full retirement age by about 30%, and that's for the rest of your life. Another consideration is if you retire and turn on at 62. Before you reach full retirement age, you have to be really careful about your earned income. So if you're planning on supplementing your income through employer wages, things like that, you have to be really careful not to exceed that income limit, which is what,
23,000 and some change for 2025. Yeah. So, and you make more than that, you're going to lose $1 of benefit for every $2 over that.
So these early years in retirement are critical for being able to bring in the money that you need. And if you are limited not only with a lower Social Security amount these first few years, but also not able to earn over $23,000, you're really cutting off the early years of retirement for that long-term growth, longevity.
And again, if it's a couple, you've got, one can go and turn it on if we deem it best, and that's what their desire is. And then if the other one works, leave theirs on longer. There's so many different moving pieces to this. People talk about software, and we have great software to do that, but it's not just the software. It spits out numbers and figures and formulas, but it doesn't get down to the needs and the wants and the desires and what your life looks like and what you're going to be doing and how long you're going to live, things of that nature. So all of that comes into play, which again, you want to work with somebody that's done this more than once.
Absolutely. Yep. This fourth age 65, you are now eligible for Medicare.
Medicare. So a couple of things about this. We've had Medicare shows, so this is not about Medicare, but it's about the age of Medicare. So a couple of things. If you are working for a company that has a group health plan and you're there beyond age 65, you're not required to sign up for Medicare Part A or Part B or get any supplements. You can stay under that group health, just make sure with your company and the group health company you're with. You might want to consider signing up for Part A. Many folks say that's a great idea because it can pick up maybe some little open areas of deductibles and things like that because Part A is already paid for. You've paid for it for the last 30 or 40 years out of your FICA withholdings, right? Part B is something you probably don't want to pick up, again, if you're still covered at work. But if you aren't covered at work and you don't pick it up, I think you have about a 7-month window, 3 months before.
7 months, that's right.
4 months after 65.
3 months before the month of your birthday and 3 months after.
Yeah. If you miss that, you are penalized on your premium for Part B premiums for the rest of your life. Forever. The only exception that I'm ever been aware of is federal workers that have full benefits. Their federal health benefit, they actually are not required, according to the OPM, to buy Medicare Part B. It's the only people in this country I'm aware of that don't have to have Part B. Should they get it? that's a discussion because now you have maybe some more holes in your coverage.
Depends where you live.
It's
Depends
so
on
many
your coverage,
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is an exception, but most of you out there, you need to make sure you understand. Don't miss that. And we have Medicare consultants as part of our team. We can help make the right decisions. If you need a supplement, you want Medicare Advantage. There are positives and negatives with both of those. Depends again. The interview process that our consultants will take on with you would be, what medications are you on? What's your health like? What's your family history like? So that they can really match you up to what's best for you.
Yeah. And this is also an age that you see a lot of people planning their retirement around, because one of the most expensive things in retirement is health care. If you retire at 62 and start taking Social Security or whatever, you've got a few years of a gap to figure out how you're going to fill that insurance need. So it's a common age. I think the average age for men retiring is 65 and women is 64, if I remember correctly.
I can
but
see
it's very
that.
close to that.
Yeah, because that group health is just so expensive, and if you got to go a year buying that for $800 a month or whatever, that's huge.
Yeah.
And so we've had it done with clients for different reasons, but it's certainly something you want to take into account and make sure that you've run those numbers. And many couples want to retire at the same time, and sometimes that does mean one that might be a year younger or whatever. We work out a plan for that. So, but anyway, a very important age, like you said, and a lot of people retire then. But I think number 5 is also a very popular retirement age.
Yes, this one is very popular. That's age 66 to 67. You've reached your full retirement age for Social Security.
Which really means a couple of things. Number one, it doesn't mean that's when you need to turn it on. Okay, that's simply part of the formula when you get your full benefit. If you take it before, then you get less. You take it past that, you get more. But something else is what you mentioned earlier, earned income.
Right.
At 67, your birthday of full retirement age, whether it be 66 and a half or 67, whatever it may be, once you pass that birthday, you can earn unlimited earnings. So now you can say, hey, now I'm going to go back to work and I'm going to go back to making $60,000 a year with no penalty. And then the year of full retirement age, it's got a much higher limit until your birthday. So it's kind of a weird little formula here, but you can make it like 60,000 earned income. So be very careful about these dates. That's why just another reason to work with somebody that understands all of this and has that background in retirement planning. But it can mess you up. If you don't pay attention to that earnings test and you go back to work at 64 to make some extra money and you're taking Social Security, you may not realize it until a year and a half later. When you file taxes, the IRS floats your return to the different departments to gather that information that they need. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden you get a bill in the mail for $20,000 saying, oh, by the way, you owe us this. Yeah. I think you told me you can now put on a credit card.
I know you can. Well, actually, I'm sure you can. I think that was the military buyback for federal employees.
But I'm sure you can with Social Security.
I'm sure you can with Social
Security. But I don't want you to. Okay,
Yeah.
so be careful with that.
Especially, let's not rack up a bunch of debt in retirement if we can help it. The next age, of course, also related to Social Security, age 70. You're eligible to collect your maximum Social Security benefit.
It's funny, a lot of people come up and say you're required to take it at 70. Technically, you're
Not
never
true.
required to take it.
Yeah.
Okay, you can leave it there until you're 90 and die.
You knew someone who kept working and decided he didn't need it.
And went to 73 or something, and I told him, I said, basically you've gone 3 years without taking something that you're due.
That you paid into.
Yeah, and so I think they did turn it on. They got a year's worth of back pay, but they didn't get those 3 years back. Mm-hmm. So when you turn 70, turn it on, unless you just are very, very wealthy and want to give it back to the government. That's your business, or you can send it to us.
If you don't need it and don't want it, take it and send it to a charity or something.
Exactly.
There's plenty of things to do with that money that could really benefit someone
You're
else.
not going to save Social Security because you're one that's not taking it.
Right.
That's not going to save it. Okay.
But this amount can be anywhere from 54 to 62% more than if you started collecting your benefit at 62. So again, it's a discussion to have with your financial professional. The break-even point for waiting is somewhere between age 79 and 82, just depending. If you can and you feel like you have the longevity, people are living longer, it's well worth it to wait if you can. So.
Yeah, because my numbers show closer to 70% greater, but somewhere in the 60 to 70% range, that's a lot of money for the rest of your life. Now, you did go 8 years without getting a check. So when do you make that up? Well, just like Evan said, it takes about 9 to 11 years of more money coming in until you finally break even with what you've received. But you also have to consider something else. If you're married, you might want to maximize one of those benefits, because if one of you passes away, the other one gets the larger of the two.
Right.
And so if it's 65% larger, that's a nice little death benefit payment every month that would be much better than if you turned it on earlier. So that's, again, something else you've got to consider.
The final age on our list, and this one's, people love this one. Age 73, you must begin your required minimum distributions, or else you will face penalties. So you've reached the peak of the retirement savings mountain and are now descending into the distributions.
Yeah, so this number's changed twice in the last few years. It was 70.5. It then went to 72 with Secure Act 1. Secure Act 2, it went to 73 if you were born before 1960. If you're born 1960 and later, your required minimum distribution age is 75. So what is that? Well, it does not apply to Roth accounts. It applies to 401ks and IRAs and 403bs, anything else like that that's a before tax. And basically the government is wanting to get their tax money. They've given you a break all these years, tax deferred, you get a tax deduction going in. Now you're being forced to take it out, which again is why I'm a bigger fan of the Roth. Roth does not have required minimum distributions while you're alive. And so just more flexibility. Yeah. But don't miss that date. Again, it's age 73. If you miss it, again, you can get, there's a little bit of leniency the first time or so, but if you miss it or take it from the wrong account or take that wrong amount, is it a 20-something% penalty now? It's been changed a little bit.
25, I think.
25% penalty of the unpaid tax or the uncollected amount. So again, if you're working with somebody that handles retirement planning, they should help you keep an eye on that. We constantly monitor. We have a list of all of our clients that are that age and older. And then you got to be careful with also taking RMDs, required minimum distributions, from inherited IRAs. That's something else you have to track. And those rules have changed over the last few years. So again, you've got to make sure you're working with someone that's a fiduciary on top of all these rules and the rule changes for sure.
Oh yeah, and you have people who are grandfathered in from different eras of rules too. So there's a lot of things to keep track of for sure. But RMDs, there's strategy behind it. You don't want to, you can just take it out of each of your IRAs, 401k or whatever, but there are opportunities to strategize, and maybe, yes, you need it to supplement your income, so do that wisely. Take it from the accounts that can afford to. I mean, if you've got, depending on what accounts are doing that year, if you can aggregate different IRAs, you don't have to take it all from one, or you split it up between all of them. You can do whatever you want. 401ks are a little bit different. 403bs, you can aggregate.
That is true. Yeah. Yes, but not 401ks.
Not 401ks.
Right. So again, it gets confusing. Even we have to look at each other a little bit and say, okay, what was that rule again? But yeah, absolutely. So certain accounts you can aggregate and take it all from one account for all of your IRAs, but you got to be careful. And then you've got there was something else that popped in my head too. Is it QCD?
QCD, Qualified Charitable Distribution.
And so let's say you don't need your RMD, you don't want to pay taxes on it, you can actually send it directly to a charity. It could be a church or other charitable foundation, as long as they're a 501c3. And you're not taxed on it when it goes out, and the church or organization is not taxed on it when it comes in. So again, if you don't need it, it's a great, we got some clients, they use that as their annual tithe. Instead of giving it monthly, just give it once a year, or you can do it twice a year or whatever, it doesn't matter.
Huge tax advantage.
And you can actually do that after 70 and a half, correct? I believe after that still 70. Goes back to 70 and a half, not 73 correct. Or 75. So if you want to start whittling down those IRAs for future RMDs, you can start it then as well. So we've covered a lot of ages today. We are out of time, but I want to make sure that you join us next time or on podcast. YouTube TV as well. But in the meantime, make sure you plan well and prosper. Take care. This was Retirement Roadmap Radio with Mark Fricks of Master Plan Retirement Consultants. To schedule a complimentary consultation, go to masterplanretire.com or call 770-980-9262. Thanks for listening, and remember, plan well and prosper.
All matters discussed during this show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. Advisory services offered through Master Plan Retirement Consultants, a registered investment advisor in the state of Georgia. Mark Fricks and Master Plan Retirement Consultants are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency.